10 stories.
Too old to do that.
There's some in the emergency room in Burlington, Vermont from flooding right now.
What?
With his knee.
No way.
Really?
Uh-huh. I wondered why my phone was blowing up while we were in that meeting today.
Oh,
How was your baby?
Baby is beautiful. She is great. Thank you. Very healthy. Her and mama both. Thank you for asking. She has no idea how much love she has.
What's your name?
Henley Marie Day. She has my initials and my middle name. She's already done.
Spoiled.
My son-in-law, he saw, we had his little baby, our baby granddaughter. He finally, one day said he realized why people would kill someone for something. I said, yeah, I threatened you.
And it still holds, doesn't it?
I said, yeah, you're still not out of those woods yet.
it's 5 o'clock on the dot. I think we got everybody here, so we might as well get the show on the road. Okay, and let the minutes reflect everyone present. I'll start with the minutes. They were sent out by email. Are there any amendments or corrections to the January minutes?
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve.
Have a motion to
Second.
second. Financial report was also sent out by email. Hope everyone had a chance to look over that, but
We're gonna vote on that.
we can't vote on that, on those minutes. Sorry about that. I was getting ahead of myself. But,
We're gonna break him in.
break me in good. All in favor of the minutes, January minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Now, financial reports. Any discussion on financial reports? Hearing no discussion, we'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the financials.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Financials are approved. Moving on to water loss report. I think we had a tick down on the last month, but
We had a little less this month,
yeah,
this period. No, that's the public hearing we have the public hearing, and I probably didn't put the time on it, that might be why you missed it.
oh, okay, that is right, we had that public,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Do we need to make the motion to, hold the meeting and go to the public hearing?
It's up to y'all now.
yeah, let's do that. Let's put the brakes on this for a minute, and let's go back to the public hearing.
So I'll make the motion to hold the minutes for the, if we need to, are we able to put this on one?
Yes, if not, the minutes can reflect it.
Okay.
Public hearing, we had to have a time, if I remember correctly.
I should have put 5 o'clock up there for you, but I didn't do that, so that's kinda what we talked about last week.
Yeah, I will pop on the public hearing, and then,
had a public hearing, no public is here,
Right.
do we just move on from that, or?
Well, technically the public's right over in that little phone.
So they've attended just virtually.
I gotta address a few things, and then.
Yeah, there's requirements we gotta do, so.
So, the complete description of the project is that there will be a 2 million gallon water storage tank on Perry's Bend Road. They're applying for 1.75 million for the project, along with the water lines to supply it. The project schedule is basically left up to SRF when they finally disapproved. We're ready to go, because the way the project works now, you have to have engineered plans ready to go in order to get funding. The benefits, they're wanting us to tell you the short term versus long term. Short term is you've got 3 tanks that are in bad shape, so the short term effects is you'll get those out of service and you'll have a new one. The long term benefits is the tank is made to withstand the additional capacity that your system can see down the road for future growth. And then the last thing we have to discuss is the fees that may result in paying back the SRF loan. And this time there's no anticipation of any rates being changed in order to fund the project. So that's all the criteria I have that we need to discuss, and since there's nobody from the public present, then y'all can move on.
You said into the future, is there any projection as to how long that would carry us into the future? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years?
At least 20.
Okay.
It's 2 million right now. You got about, we're almost doubling it. So
That was gonna be my question. What are we now?
about 1 million, ain't it right now? If I remember correctly. One's a 500,000 we're taking out.
Yeah, I think one's 150,000, one's 500,000, one's 300.
Do you anticipate any, are we good to talk?
Yeah, it's on the discussion.
Do we anticipate any, outages or closures due to this transition?
With the water source itself?
Yes, sir.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
It'll be a hot tap on a 12-inch located on Highway 141. It'll be going back up there to it.
What happens to the old tanks?
All the state requires is you sever the line to them so they can remain standing. They can rust down. They do not require that. It becomes a liability on the insurance company to y'all for it to be left.
Can we sell them for scrap?
You can. I mean, that's what everybody used to do right now. Since scrap was so cheap, it was really hard for anybody. A lot of places was having trouble getting somebody to come in and do it because they try to give it to them, say, hey, just here you go, have it, just to get rid of it. So you used to could sell it. So
Do we have any idea what it would cost to take?
well, that's what I'm saying.
That's scared.
Usually you give it to somebody because the cost they have to take it down is about what they would get for the scrap. So you used to could sell it by the pound, plus then taking it down. You'd actually make money on it, but I'm not gonna say that could.
So then worst case, we're looking at no cost to get rid of it?
Correct, or you just cut the line and you let it stand a while
Just
until you
leave
get somebody.
It's just scrap.
It's gonna take a while for it to not be structurally safe anyways. I mean, right now they're safe enough to even have potable water in them right now, so. You're talking many years down the road if it's left standing.
So is there something you can repurpose them for?
Just scrap steel. But it's just cheap, I mean, it's real cheap right now.
Well, no disrespect to anybody, but things in this county tend to be forgotten, and then 30 years from now, there's gonna be a water board sitting here wondering why in the hell somebody didn't take those tanks down. I'm not
Right,
being-
no, you're exactly right.
And then not to mention just environmentally, letting something rust down, to me, doesn't sound like the greatest thing to do. I'm all for this, no doubt, regardless, but I just think before we get too excited about building something new, make sure we can get rid of the old too.
I think you could try to get rid of them by.
You can, you just take bids.
Take bids or do
And I
whatever you
get the-
can.
I
If
get
you
the
find
metal
out you
price,
can't, nobody will do it, then you can try to, like you said, give them, say, hey, come get them if you want it.
Well, we're not selling our metal right now because it's not worth even hauling it off.
we can make attempts to get rid of them and go through the process.
Is that something you could do, Tom? We should try to run down if there's any interested parties.
Yeah, we could put out a bid or, put out some kind of thing for somebody to bid on removing them, and maybe the specifications on how to do it, maybe, for safety, you know.
And I mean, you can even give them to other, not give them, but you could sell them to other
Utilities,
utilities if they really want.
they really want them.
Are they in any kind of state to be worth selling? I mean, we're decommissioned.
Recertifying.
They're really gonna have to have, I mean, they're gonna have to have work, so if you're gonna take them down and they're gonna have to cut them anyways to put them back up. So, I mean, basically they.
The superstructure, they would
Yeah, I mean,
probably
they're saving-
repurpose more than the tank
Yeah.
itself.
The point is used in order, for, the reason for the project was it was gonna cost y'all almost as much to fix 3 tanks as it was to get a brand new one. And you still got that old of a tank that you're still gonna have to keep pouring money into.
And the newer one is not as maintenance.
Yeah, it's a concrete tank, so it doesn't require the
And I will-
coatings.
Throw out an issue with one tank, it's the one above minute mark that says Hartsville right on top of it, that goes in front of all these pictures and all this kind of stuff, so are you destroying a landmark? That might be one consideration we look into. Now, I'm not suggesting the water board hang on to it, I'm just saying, we need to put that in our evaluation, because that's, if it disappears tomorrow, a lot of people are probably gonna be upset.
True.
Donate it to the county.
Well, that could be one thing. Now, well, the county's willing to accept it if it's got maintenance costs with it, that's something else.
I mean, I get that, but I just, you know, A, wouldn't wanna be saddled with keeping it up, or B, it collapsing on top of Minute Mark one.
Oh, I don't disagree with you on that. I'm just saying,
But I get.
take it into
people
account,
get
and if it,
butthurt over the silliest stuff.
if it taken into account, just like Tommy and I have talked, and there are some issues with it, and it needs some maintenance done on it, whether it's a water tank or not. And what was it, $300,000, Tommy?
I can't remember the number, total altogether, it's, the cost to fix the 3 was almost is equivalent
Well, I'm
to
talking about,
that.
even if that one right there, even if you were gonna leave it standing.
Oh, yeah.
now, you and I talked, and you said the water's probably one of the things help hold it up right
If you
now.
de-water it, that's probably helps hold that thing pretty steady. If you take the water out of it, it's gotta get a little lightweight, you know. It
But
could
you
be,
can't let it sit there with the water in it, cause it's gonna,
Probably put them up a real nice Hartsville sign for less than $300.
But they're designed to be empty, so
they are, yes.
they do the worst case.
I think the biggest thing somebody have to worry about is it's just the structural soundness of the stilts, you know, and everything tight and it not swaying and stuff like that.
I would just rather that we took that into consideration and made a determination that based on the cost and that whatnot, it's not worth anything to the board. The board might wanna consider asking the county if they wanna take it on, but from my point of view, I don't. I mean, I know it's a landmark and it's got that on there, but to me, the cost of maintaining it is not worth doing, to me.
Liability also.
Right. So I would just I just wanna throw that out there, cause I know it's gonna be asked of us, well, did you think about, well, yes, we did think about that, and we had looked at it before, and we're taking it out of operation, cause it's got maintenance problems.
I think
It's gonna have to be fixed whether you're using it or not, and the cost is, to me, even if you're using it for tourist promotion, $300,000 is a lot of money that you could use to do a real good tourist promotion or do a lot of other things that are gonna be more valuable than having that tower sitting there.
We could paint Hartsville on the side of the cooling tower at the TVA.
Well,
It ain't going anywhere.
You can, I ain't.
I think the one y'all talking about has a pedestal issue too, don't it?
Yes, it
yes,
That's what I was getting ready to ask.
Yeah,
Is
that's-
the maintenance issue involved on the inside and the,
The inside, if you
On
leave
the
water in,
tank,
it
or
has
is
to
it-
be coated. So that's, don't hold me to this, it's probably 100,000.
right, so,
So if you don't have the water in it, that saves that on
right.
the rehab.
But structurally, how much maintenance are we talking over the next 10 years? You know, just structurally sitting there, and is it safe sitting there?
Structurally, you'll have to fix the pedestal. I think there's a hole in the roof.
It's gone.
we fixed that.
Oh, you did? Okay. So, it's got a pedestal, I think structurally, the rest of it would just be, have to be repainted if the paint's down to that point.
So you really don't know the
With
wellness of that metal if it hadn't been done. Most tanks have to be
Depends on how much pitting's in it.
pitting is involved, if it's rotted away, if it hadn't been done, and if they hadn't painted every 10 to 15 years, it could have some issues, you know, but you don't know about until you take the paint down.
And I know, I just threw that out there for future consideration. I know that's not germane to the public hearing on the new water tank. Just in the future when we're looking at it, I'd like us to consider that.
Yeah, we plan on getting this in operation when we didn't deal with those second.
What do you say we put,
How long will this, when will this be put in operation, you think? A year and a half?
If they, yeah, I mean, if they'll get on with it, I mean,
Okay, I mean,
we're still
I'm
waiting
not
on,
sure.
this meeting was a requirement for them to
Right.
finally do their final review.
Okay,
They've yet to tell you what your rates are even gonna be as far as your terms. So, we got an idea what they're gonna be, but nobody's actually come up with that yet.
Are we seeing kind of a delay in this process due to COVID and some other
Oh,
things?
yes.
Are we seeing a big delay on this?
I think I turned it back in October, maybe.
Okay.
And we just now, we got our comments in January.
were you through?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I have some more
Mr. Chairman, I
questions.
make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second that.
public hearing is closed.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? And since you got the floor, let's skip over the water, if that's okay with everyone else. Let's go ahead and go through the engineering report, and then we'll come back to finish up the water off.
Engineering report, I guess y'all got the attachment. I've got a big one over here with the revised bathroom for the garage, so, we can either talk now or after the meeting on if everybody's good with that, or if they wanna see something different. CDBG, we're winding down on it, as far as that goes on that project, and of course, SRF is, we're having this public meeting, we'll get the minutes turned into them and, the paper advertisement, and they'll continue their review on the SRF. 2021 CDBG, which is y'all's next round, we're in the process of applying for it, to the sewer side of the system. And I'll take questions if y'all got questions about any more.
I would rather us look this building over in the meeting than after the meeting, personally. I did look over the plans that were emailed and, I think they're fine, they're great. We've kept adding things to this, and, we have an estimate, I think, in these budget figures here, $580,000. Are you still thinking we can build this for $580,000?
I think that budget was done in 18.
I'm just saying, to me, right now, average cost of this type building is a minimum of $200 a square foot. You're talking 6,000 square feet, that's $1,200,000, which is a far cry from $580,000. Is why I responded with the email that I responded earlier, is this morph into something that's way beyond what we think we're doing, dollar-wise. And, I'm not saying we shouldn't go with these plans and go ahead and bid it and see what the bids come in. That's not what I'm saying, is I just don't want anybody to drop their teeth on the floor when you're looking all of a sudden, instead of $500,000, $1.5 million or $1.2 million. Am I wrong on that figure?
I don't think it'll quite get 200 because it's not all finished. It's a third of it's actually offices, so that'll cut you square down a little bit, but the problem is, I think your lumber packages and things like that has went 30 to 40% since
Well,
that,
steel has too.
since that initial, so,
Yeah, steel has jumped so high.
yeah.
And, you know, the things like the drive-up windows and cellar cages and things, kitchen, you cannot put residential stove. You have to put a commercial stove, and you'll have to have a hood system.
Mhm.
You know, all those type of things are not necessarily really cheap. And when I look at that plan based on the fire hall that we built 5 years ago, and other everything that I've seen built in the last 3 or 4 years, that's $1.5 million, $1,200,000 building. And if we can get it done for $580,000, I'm all over it. But I think we're fooling ourselves if we think we're going to. And that's all I wanna say about it. I'm not against it as much as I just don't want us to be surprised.
Evan, has more of the, impact been from the price of steel and the price of wood going up, or the add-ons? Which one do you feel is?
It's gonna be the price of material, it's gonna be 30%,
Right.
30 to 40, it's pretty significant. Most of it's concrete, it's holding pretty steady, I'm gonna say
Right.
it's not took off. So that's a big cost of a pre-engineered metal building, but your added bathroom's gonna add several thousand. I mean, that's really all we've added. We've added, of course, the teller stuff. I mean, that counter will be a little bit more than what we had to begin with. But other than that, the rest of it pretty much stayed the same. We're just rearranging
Right.
the square footage. As far as that goes, so. I mean, I agree it's probably not gonna be what it was in 18 when they originally sent that estimate in. How much, I don't know until
Yeah, it's actually.
where we're at, I mean, and what y'all got invested. I feel like you need to go ahead and see what it's gonna be, and make a determination, so.
I think you make a valid point, but, I mean, we did bid this in 18, so I guess we do. I don't know, I hear everyone else's thoughts, but I think we do. See what the bids come in, and, I know right now with, the price of material does fluctuate a lot with the contractors that you're using now. I just had some stuff done at my house, and I got 2 bids on it, and one was half from the other one, you know. And I think it's just the volume that this contractor done versus the volume that contractor done. So I think we might see bids come in that are kind of all over the place, to be honest with you, if we're able to get enough bids to compare. But I think it is a factor that I think we need to look at, because, you know, 30%, 40% higher material cost is.
I mean, you went from 580 to 750,
Right.
so if it's, and that's not gonna be all inclusive of the 580, because 580 had site in it, so the sites should be pretty reasonable from what it was. Of course, these oil prices keep going up, and your asphalt's gonna go up, and that'll get away from you pretty quick when they start doing it.
Everything's going up. I mean, the sooner we do it, the better off we're gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, from the figure that we have been discussing, long before I even got on this board, I was aware of what we were trying to do, I assure you. And, I'm afraid it's gonna be way, way more than what we were bargaining for, is my biggest concern. Now, if we bid it and we get the figures and they're hard and fast figures we can go with, then we can make an educated decision. But I think, it's gonna be a hard sell to the public, that we're spending $1 million, if that's what it comes in at, on a building that we absolutely don't have to have, that we need maybe, or that we'd like to have, but not one that we have to have. And with the other things that, you know, we're paying, and if it results in a rate increase down the road, it's really gonna be. And I'm not looking at it from a political standpoint, I'm looking at it from the people that's paying the bill. And, it's gonna be, I'm afraid it's gonna be very unpopular. I'm just being blunt. And, if it's necessary and absolutely needed, I'm 100% for it. Especially if we've got the money to do it. I know we put a lot of time, Evan's put a lot of effort into it, Tommy's put a lot of effort into it, and this board's put a lot of effort into it. But I just wanted us to look at it, I guess, with fresh eyes in light of the situation.
I appreciate your insight and your opinion. I've got a couple questions, and those are, is it a full kitchen? So does it have an oven and
No,
stuff?
it's just
A break room?
it's a
like-
break room.
Break room, okay.
It's just got a sink, cabinets, refrigerator.
Okay, I wasn't asking to nitpick the whole thing, promise. But I think we're in a position where this is a reason that we were all asked to be on this board, is for us to make wise, conscious decisions, and this is a decision that we've gotta decide, is this the betterment for all the investments that's placed upon this water board, whether it be a truck, whether it be a tractor, whether it be, also, this is support for the staff. And so that brings me to my next question, Tommy. Do you have a shop that you normally, your guys are normally working on your equipment and things?
Most all of our equipment's in the weather.
Okay,
We've had more equipment added since I've been here. When I came, we only had like maybe two major, old backhoe and a new track machine there, a Mini X, and since then we've added several pieces of equipment. And some which don't need to be out in the weather, as far as they have water tank, we have to keep them, you know, either heated or somewhere put up. We only have one room we can keep it heated, like where we have the back truck with the water tanks on it. We have another unit that sits out in the weather, we keep it drained. An old sewer jetter, which that's outdated and needs to be replaced too.
as I truly see the value of a structure like this to give longevity to the equipment that's already been purchased for the water department and for the community who acquires the services of this water department. And my gut is that we're not gonna have the next structure that's gonna be available by the city, county, metropolitan for us to move into the next one that's available. So I don't know if you need a motion or what, but I welcome the idea of let's get bids, let's get the bids, see where the numbers are at, and then come back and make conscious decisions on what we're truly facing. But we do need to take into consideration that we are giving, that's hopefully fewer times they're gonna come to us for a backhoe or Mini X, or, you know, there are fewer times they're gonna come to us for other, if they're able to take care of them in a good environment and also maintain them in a good environment. I was not part of the whole plan of this structure, so I'm just walking in on with this existing plan that was presented to me. And of course there's many things that I would change, and there's gonna be a lot of backlash, and there's gonna be individuals in the community who aren't gonna see the justification for this investment. But this is the one department within this community and this government that creates funds, and it doesn't come straight from your property tax. And I think that this is what brings us the benefit to give those other departments space that the water department would be leaving. And I'll probably stop right there, but I think we need to move forward and get the numbers. I don't know if you need a motion or not for a bid, but I'll make that first motion unless anybody has anything else.
We've already approved the plans, right? Correct? Or
I mean,
Do we have to put a motion to put it up for bids?
exactly.
all I just need to know is if y'all are good with this final layout, cause I gotta send it back to my MP&E guy that had the bathroom. I just didn't want him to do it 2 or 3 more times.
Let's
I wanna get something in stone so we can.
Does that, before we move to putting it out to bid, does everybody agree with the plans that we've got?
You have a shop. I have a husband with a shop, so he's not here for me to ask opinions. So,
If I should one up like that, we won't have to build another one. I'm all for getting equipment out of the weather. I mean, that's just ignorant to leave high-dollar machinery sitting around. If you're asking me my opinion, they definitely need a break room. Everybody needs a break room. They gotta have restrooms. I'm sure multi-sex. I'm just going out on a limb here. As far as moving the tellers down there, I mean, I can understand wanting to have everything under one roof, but the tellers are right here. You take them out of here, then what we're gonna do with these windows? Who's gonna use those windows?
County clerk, she's already requested if they move out, she's wanting to move over there.
Okay, COVID's gonna go away eventually. I She won't need them forever.
No, she won't, but she did like the convenience of being able to do that, and sometimes on Saturday, she's here by herself, and she would rather use them from Saturday, but the request, she said, she really liked being able to do that, and some of her people that come through like the convenience of the drive-through instead of having to come in, so she did ask to move over there if the water department moves out.
Understand completely. But the flip side of that is, as far as whether people think it's necessary or not, I mean, personally, I didn't think that fire hall was necessary. I mean, if you want me to gun to my head, I didn't think it was necessary.
But as a
School
shop,
bus garage, I didn't think it was necessary, so we can argue, people are gonna think it is, people are gonna think it's not. You're absolutely right, this one part of our government does generate its own revenue. As far as rate increases go, I've always said about property tax, if you have small incremental increases, people don't throw a fit. When you come back after no tax increase for 10 years and just slam the door on them, that's when they come unglued.
True.
So, I mean, and I'm not saying start going up on everybody's water bill, but if we do know we got an increase coming, we should be able to look far enough down the road to see that it's coming. And if we ease them into it, they swallow it a little better. But, you know, if we come out and your water bill goes from $50 a month to $100 a month overnight, people get upset, and they're gonna point exactly, that's the first thing they're gonna point out is that building, that new pickup truck, that backhoe, 50 people working for the water department, when they think 10 should be able to do it all. We're opening a can of worms no matter what we do. It's the same thing on county court, you can't win, you're never gonna win, you're always gonna be the bad guy. But if this utility can pay for it, then I'm all for it. As far as the cost goes, I did not realize, whew, and $200 a square foot,
That's what residential is now.
well, I ain't building a house. If anything, I'm thinking about selling my house, cashing out, and buying me a camper.
Not Evan, you're needing us to tell you that this is the final, we're gonna go with this design, right?
Yes, that would be great. Or if y'all want something else modified, that is doable,
I think that'd be Tommy, 'cause I mean, I don't plan on being there.
Yeah.
I see one or two things that could be changed that I think it would make the work environment better for the people in the building. But I'm not gonna argue over them and not fight for them, because evidently the people that are gonna be working in the building have looked at it and don't have a problem with it. The one thing I would do would be where you've got the laundry room, I would swap it with that office, so whoever's in that center office could have a window to the real world outside. You don't need a window in the laundry room, of course, there's no window drawn in it, but if that office was moved to the front of the building or the back, whichever way you look at it, then you could put a window in there. It's not gonna affect your plumbing, you're still in that run down the wall with the plumbing, but to me, working in an office that has no window to the outside versus one that does, it's not to sit and daydream, it's just a natural light, it's a better environment. And other than that, I saw absolutely nothing that I would question or wanna change at this point. I like the fact that we've got Tommy's office where he can come in and out of the shop or in and out of the office, that makes sense. You've got a way for them to come in and out of the shop through the tool room to get into the other part. I would question the door out of the conference room into the shop area. I don't see that it's necessary. I certainly don't like having it in the center of that wall, because if you wanna put a projection screen or a television in the center of your room, that's the obvious wall to put it on, and you're not gonna be able to do it with the door stuck in the middle of the wall. So a few little things like that, but that's not really gonna affect the cost in any way, you know, but, I just, other than that, and I'm fine with it like it is, that was just mainly suggestions.
Just one quick question, just for my own knowledge, how thick are you gonna pour the floor?
The floor is gonna be 4 in the offices, and it's gonna be, I can't remember, 6 or 8 in the base.
I don't know how heavy your equipment is, but I know we go with 8. But I mean, we're talking about, we pull 80,000 pounds on it, but if you think you might get heavy, I'd pour it now, cause you can't add it later.
True. That's the bed underneath it.
I think we need to, might not have to, but I think it'd be better if we get a vote on getting these plans approved.
Well, you have a motion, and I'll make the second
Okay.
to send it for bid,
Send it for bid, alright.
send it out to bid. I'm not opposed to the project, I just want us to look at it again with fresh eyes.
Right, I understand.
Just that pool sticker shop.
And I mean,
All in favor, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? I think we need to back up and grab the water loss. Is there any more discussion on the,
Okay, now that was a motion, put it out for bid, that's not a motion to approve the plan.
Right.
That's already taken, modified for a motion. I'll make the
Well,
motion.
I mean,
Make the motion, put it,
That's
to accept it as is.
second?
sure.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, plans have been passed, going after bid has been passed, so we're moving forward with that one. Now let's back up and grab water loss. Is there any more discussion on water loss? I know we've looked at it, it's ticked down from last.
Sharing earlier that the new, we didn't use it in its electronic means, but we was able to find a leak through the meter in the line today out on Highway 25 off Crenshaw. We found an 88 gallon minute leak, fixed it, and
Is that box that you put in out there, is that meter?
that's a big, yeah, that
What
big
that
box.
for? Okay.
But it'll report at night, every night it'll take a picture or snapshot over amount of, between 1 and 2 or so in the morning and give you a report on.
So when will that all be installed and completed and online?
It should be, we go online with the billing first of the month, so we'll be able to start using it. It's working and functioning, so we just ain't our software's gotta get in place to be able to use it.
yes, the automatic part.
The automatic part.
Looking at what it's actually doing this month.
Right.
They're operating right now.
They're already
Yeah,
installed.
they're in
and
and they're working.
Okay.
Yes.
That was more my question.
Yes.
You can open the vault and see the flow through there.
Gotcha.
Total. They're set up to do every day.
So they're physically in place, but the telemetry
Yes.
is not
Correct.
in place, okay. That's too big a word for an old man. Telemetry.
Tom, let's keep going. General manager report.
Yeah, we, budget time, I had the budget for y'all to review. I had one change in, I didn't have the exact price on that generator and I had to modify it, but I just trying to change a little bit of money. I put some money in there for some tank work for the other tanks that have to stay in place, cause T-Dec wrote us something that they want us to start doing a plan of action on all the other tanks. So I put some money in the budget to do some rehab work on those. And I gotta get with Evan, I got him the copies of all the reports for the inspections, and he would help work up some type of, schedule for those, what needs to be done, which tanks need what kind of attention they need, work that's gotta be done on them. I modified it just a little bit for that generator, not to have to change all the budget numbers, so. Cause we don't know what that cost will be anyway on those tanks, I just put some money in there to have it in there.
You got one truck,
Yes, sir,
and that's what you were showing here.
yes,
It threw me, cause it was showing 42,000, this is showing 28.
is it to the left of you?
Oh, okay, the left,
Yes.
okay.
The left.
28,7.
Yeah, that's
I
the
got
state bid, yeah.
I just looked at it, it was possible, I guess. My only concern on this is this 550 we got in there on shop building, and, I don't know, how soon do we need to approve this budget? Can we get hard figures on the shop building before we do the budget? Would that be prudent, or do we have time to do that?
Well, last year we had it ready this time because of the new changes the county made to have, when you had to submit your budget. We wanted to be ready. This board has to approve it and then it has to go to the county. Now, if we got more time, that's fine.
We know the price is probably gonna escalate, we just wanna bump that shop number up by 100 and budget for it and see what the
Well,
numbers
I would
come
like
in
to
at.
see us at least throwing in 750, cause we know it's gonna be at least 750.
We can change that.
I'm just, when do we absolutely need to have this voted on?
Well, when it goes to the county commission, if I remember correctly, doesn't actually approve this budget,
Right.
it's for this board. We just include it when we submit it to the comptroller's office, so I would say we would need it probably May at least.
So we've got a month or two, that was my point, it's not something we have to do.
Well, I know we did adopt that statute that had to require on March 1st to have it submitted, the department submitted it. The comptroller's office, as long as we have, looks like we're going to meet June 30th, they've already let us know they're not gonna hammer us on that. With COVID and everything like that, they know we're gonna have delays, so I don't think putting this back a month's gonna hurt us any.
Just plan on changing that to 750.
I didn't see anything else that just jumped out at me, but I didn't really have a lot of time to just really pour over it, but that was the one thing that I saw that I had concern, that I put question
that's-
marks on.
What's
Quite
the generator
frankly,
for?
The building,
Back up for building.
we can buy it cheaper than the contractor probably would put it in.
And which water tanks are we rehabbing?
Well, you have 11 altogether. It'd be like Snake Hollow, it'd be one of the two tanks at the water treatment plant, they're smaller, like 50,000, 100,000 gallon. But they wanna see us move ahead and start working on those, cause they know there's issues with them as well.
So it's not rehabbing the 3 that are being
No,
taken.
it has nothing to do with the 3 that are gonna go out.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Go back to that 300,000 again.
Any other discussion on the budget?
What did you have in here on salaries? I think you had an increase,
Requested 2%, yes.
okay, you had it broke down as a two-part.
4.2.
Well, I had a 1.3 cost, that's cost
Cost
of
of
living
living.
this year, and then a 0.7, just a raise. It's 2 altogether. And there's a breakdown showing different rates of that.
Were you showing that on your salary as well?
Yes, it covers all employees.
Okay. It didn't look like it was, says employee wages supervisor.
It's all,
Okay.
yes.
For our 2021 budget was 75,996, and you're showing 76,016. That's not 2% raise to you. Is that your salary, or is that something else?
That's estimated. You do a calculation on 5 months, that you have to estimate the budget for the year this early. There's just an estimated calculation there. Basically divide your cost to date and multiply it with 5 more months, and you that's how that works out. It's an estimation of what the budget will work out to be this year till June 30th. That may be why it looks a little off or different, you know. Some of those line items, like when you look at expenses, you might say, well, I'm not gonna spend that much money. If I estimate, so I know I'm not gonna spend, I'll have to reduce that number.
We always try to understate our revenues and understate our expenses so that we're not caught short. I mean, that's just the way.
Well, mine's a set salary, it don't change, so I'm the only one that never changes, so I'm salary employee.
So that's what I'm saying, you did not put a 2% increase on your salary.
Yes, I did, it's got it in there, yes.
Okay, but you just said it didn't increase. Now I'm confused.
No, it is in that number you see in the budget. Sir,
The budget for 2021 was 74,
2021 is your,
531, that's what was budgeted
Yeah.
for this year. And he's budgeted for 2022, 76,016.
Uh-huh.
That one column is an estimate for the year. That's kinda how I judge how to set next year's budget. If you look at the first two columns there, that's the last 2 year budgets,
Yes,
actuals budgets that we said,
actual spend or budget.
budgets.
budget.
I'd rather set, and I think we had this discussion last year, that we would like to see actual figures to set the budget, not budgeted figures to set the budget. Or if there's some way to show both. Cause if you base your budget figures on what you budgeted, and you didn't spend that, then you're spending money again, or appropriating money again, that doesn't need to be appropriated. And maybe you have categories that you went over budget that you need to increase more, or that you know you're gonna have to increase. So I'm not a fan of putting together a budget based on budget figures. I'd much rather see actual figures, where we have them. I know we don't have actual figures for this year to work with. All we have for this year is our budgeted figures. But the previous years, we absolutely do have those figures.
So you would like to audit final numbers on the 1920 fiscal year, correct?
At least, yes. I mean, because if we're not looking at that, how do we know that ever the budget figures are just something pulled out of the air, that they're even based in fact in any way? Budget's your best guess of what you're gonna need. I get that, I understand that. I have this argument with people that think it's the holy grail locked in stone. It's an estimate, I get that. But I'd like that estimate to have some basis on reality, not on what we thought, what somebody thought 2 years ago or last year. Now, if that's too much of a request or too much to expect, I apologize, but,
Whatever y'all want us to do, we'll work on it.
Yeah, from the most previous audits we got for 1920, I'd like to see the actual final numbers for that. And then you got your budgeted number, and obviously for this current fiscal year, you can only do estimates, but I would like to see for the years we got the actual, I'd like to see the actual.
I can put it in comparison, this report.
Yeah, we'll need to take another pass at this budget next month
Yeah, that's
anyway.
fine. We
Throw
can
those
add-
numbers in a
We
column
can add
for
that
us.
to it for y'all to look at.
Yeah, that'd be
but
great.
do y'all think that's necessary or needed, or am I just out in left field somewhere?
No, that's what we do on ours when we submit it, we show, because we got the audit, actually Amy just sent it out to Mr. Harsh, the chair of the audit committee, just sent it out today. So we've got our final audited numbers, and that's what Amy will put in our budget for the 1920, she'll show the audit actual numbers. And then we'll show our estimate for the current year, and that's what we'll do, and obviously we'll update that as we go through the budget cycle, but no, we use actuals when we can.
Let's sure we look at this time. and see
Yeah,
if we
that's
get
fine.
some actions in
We'll
there.
work on it.
Alright, thank you. Right on road.
That TDEC report, I think that's next. You want one for the page? They just wanted to tell y'all that was some of the things they hit, was the tanks need to be, start looking at the maintenance plans for them, the rest of them. They know we're working on, and they're happy with their work that we've been doing, the work at the water plant, he's tickled, they're all tickled about that, so. But he does wanna see us move ahead with those, getting some kind of game plan on the rest of our, maintenance on those tanks, the rest of the tanks.
That item number 1, where we got tagged for 4 points,
Yes.
80% capacity. does that mean we
Well, you know, me and
have
him-
to do something about that, or?
You're supposed to, but he and I talked about that before he wrote this up. I don't know if he just forgot about it or what. But that's where those meters are off down there. And we told him, I told him that day that we would, as soon as they taped up everything to do that sandblasting and painting down there. They're working on that right now. And I told him as soon as they get that done, we'll work on getting that adjusted. But he's
So
still.
we think we're below 80%?
Yeah, I told him I believe we were, but he put it in here. I don't know.
Well, overall rating of 98% for the age of our equipment is very, very good. I mean, guys, I'm delighted with that, and I applaud you so much for being able to do that. They're gonna find something, that's their job.
They always find something.
Where the shit pour around, huh?
The gentleman, we got to talking, and some of the items y'all had talked about, he said it was fine as far as if y'all wanted to, he would work out, he would go through an interview process with all the employees if they wanted to be a part of it and go through that process. And he would also, if you wanted to have a stipulation on, you know, if you, like, you worked so many years of service to pay back, to help make sure the investment in the training was there, he said that was fine, if that's something the board so wanted to do. And that he would help out with, moving forward with looking at that planning process if y'all wanted to become part of it. He will still try to come talk to you if you wanted to too, if you knew him to come talk to you about it, and that's fine. He wasn't gonna be able to make it this time.
Do we have any kind of numbers on this as far as cost implications?
The 2 year, I think, is around 5,000 a person. For 2 years, a 2 year training.
I, for one, am very interested in this, adopting that program. I don't know what else we got to talk about to kind of move along, or, I'm not saying vote on it tonight, but what else do we want to talk about to look at that harder, I guess? Do we want to get that guy in here to talk to us, or?
I think so, because I remember there were some questions that I think kind of outside of Tommy's or any of our purview. It's something that's going to be more specific to whoever's involved in the program itself. So, and that's something. I mean, if we need to set it up Zoom, we can do that in here, or if they can be here in person. However, we need to set it up. But I think they can probably answer a little bit more in-depth questions, and we can get without them.
You know, their requirement is, there's a pay scale they require the person to be at that 2 year period.
Right.
And they give raises as they meet accomplishments. And in that respect, we probably have not got anything, we'll be there anyway on that pay scale. Because the way we set up the accomplishments the guys have now, they can get those kind of raises if they go get their licenses. But anything they've done so far, they get credit for that. If we've sent them to a class, they get credit for that. That'll lessen that 2 year program if they'll give you credit for all their work they've already done. So he can explain all that to y'all and go through it. He is willing to come in and help do the interviewing and who might be the best qualified persons for those. If we want to do 2, we're gonna do 1, whatever we want to do. I know we got 2 key positions here that eventually somebody's gonna retire from in the next, 3 to 5 years. Right, and we'll need to fill those, and that was my goal, was to get those 2 people prepared for those jobs.
I think it's a great program, and I think in concept, we're all on board with it. There was just a few details that we didn't have answers on as to the actual operational part of it.
You can get him lined up for a board meeting, give us
Yes,
a 30-minute talk,
yeah, I think we
whatever
can.
give us an opportunity to ask some questions.
We can do that. I think, or we could set up the Zoom, and that may be easier on him.
Either way.
I'll find out which way he wants to do.
Yeah, let's leave this on here, and then we'll look at getting approved whenever. We can answer some questions for us. Is that all the time you got?
Yeah, that's all
I
right.
appreciate that report. And thank you, and thank y'all for your reports. Keeping us in the loop of what's going on. Public comments, I think we got one person here from the public. If you could just state your name and tell us what you got.
My name is Lenore Harper. I live over, at 200 Hayes Street, and there was a plumbing issue at my house, so I had called here to see if someone could come out to see where the problem was, and I think Mr. Tommy over here came out, looked at it, and they called me back and said that it was an issue, but it was my issue that I needed to have taken care of, so I called a plumber out to come to my house. The guy did the work, and he said, you know, if it wasn't fixed, then it was on the city's end. So I guess it worked for like 2 weeks of whatever he did. I had another issue. Came home, the bottom bathroom was completely flooded. It was a complete mess. So I called the city again. They came out, they checked the manhole. They said it was flowing, wasn't their issue, it was my issue. So I called another plumber to come out. And that plumber found he was like, it's not on you, it's on the city. And he was like, you need to call somebody and get them out here. And I think that was like Thanksgiving weekend, it was a holiday weekend. So they did come out, and it was on the city's end, it wasn't on my end. And I was like almost out of $1,000. And it took like 3 different times before someone would say it's the city's fault and not my fault. When I brought the receipts, and Tommy had told me that y'all typically don't do refunds, and he explained to me how the guys had worked and they had to get paid, but that's not really my issue, because if you're working after hours, I mean, you're getting paid anyway, so it's not like you're getting paid for free. So I mean, I just feel like that wasn't my issue, that they had to come out, and they were really nice. I mean, they had been out there like half a day. I mean, I think they got there like 10 or 11, and they were there until probably like 7, 8 o'clock. But like I said, once again, I was out of money. Like, I think I ended up spending almost $1,000.
What happened over there, Tommy?
Well, most cases with like her situation, we have to be told whether, you know, the plumber will have to come out and see whether it's our fault or theirs, or we are at fault or whatever. And my understanding, the 27th, the day that the guys actually did come out and fix it, that was the first day we were told it was ours.
Well, the first plumber that came though, he told me, he was like, if this doesn't fix the problem, he was like, it's not your problem, it's on the city, because he said it was out to the road, and which it was out to the road, because they dug like half the road up in front of my house, and half of the yard was tore completely up.
It was
from that.
near his old clay line that collapsed or was tore up there.
So what was the problem? Tell me what the problem was. Your sewer was backing up, you had no water, I'm not sure what
I had water, but the
Okay.
sewer was backing
The
up, and it was
sewer.
like backing up in
Okay.
my bathroom, and the whole thing
Okay.
flooded.
So it was a problem with the sewer line?
Yeah, it had issues in the road, edge of the paved road there.
It was on our side.
It was on our side, but we needed the plumbers tell it, they give the evaluation. If it's ours, we come in and fix it. We don't know that all the time, then that's usually what the customer has to tell us. They usually get somebody come, chase that back and see where it's at. If it's at the road, we take over and look at it, dig it up and check it out and fix it then. But anything at the road is from the road to the customer's house, that's theirs to take care of.
Right.
It's not ours, and when they let us know that, we get involved and fix it. We need a plumber to tell us that, and I asked the guy to remember today, the guy that came out that day, the first day he was made aware that it was ours was the 27th, which we came out and fixed it. And that was the recollection he had. This was back in November when this was took care of.
Has anybody been around long enough to know how we handle that when we're a problem on us, on our side?
So was there 2 problems? Was there a problem with their line and our line, or was it just our line?
I don't know what other.
It wasn't my line. I think
I
there's
don't
like a duplex that's behind me, and I think they were trying to
She's-
like they were on my line.
She has
I think.
2 or 3 homes. There's 3 homes on one service. It actually probably runs under her house from other 2 homes into that. And that we found that out in the city like that before. It's not the first time where multiple homes are on one service. And that probably caused more trouble to you than the flow in your home, backing up in your home than anything did. Those other homes running through there. But when we were made aware that it was ours, we went out and fixed it. And I got the copy of those two bills you gave me that day.
Yeah, cause that was all it was just from the two plumbers that,
And the one was $50 and the other guy charged you $465.
no, $50 was just for him to come out.
Okay.
And then he charged me like another 3 something, I think.
Was these not two different people though?
Yeah, they're two different
Two
people.
different.
But it is fixed.
For right now it is, I mean,
We had traditionally
I
not
think they put the
reimbursed
manhole
anybody
out
or done
there.
anything. This is our normal
What
way to do this, so.
what actually caused the water to back up the sewer to back up in the house? Do we know?
When we dug it up, it was the old clay line had been damaged.
Collapsed or.
Yes.
Our
That was
line
our
was a clay
line.
line.
Yes, you got a lot of, it's that old,
Okay.
yeah, it's old Orangeburger they
Yeah,
call
I
it.
know what it is.
Yeah. You got a lot of that in the system, the
Yep.
old part system.
So we have copies of 2 over 3 bills, is that accurate?
I got 2 bills is all I ever saw.
But there's a third bill somewhere?
no, there shouldn't be a third bill. The first guy, he just kinda wrote it down on a piece of paper. Like I said, there was a $50 service charge. And then he just like wrote on it, he should have that copy. And then it was a bill where I think I paid like $375 more or something. And then that second bill, it was almost $500, I think.
And, okay, so the second bill, $500, do you have a copy of that, Tom?
Yeah, here you go, y'all want that.
I thought you didn't have everything, that's what I was asking. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's the bill copies I had from her.
Was the grand total?
I'm not exactly sure. I would have to go back and look at those.
$700-800.
Yeah.
You don't recognize a bill like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The other one.
But my heart.
Give both of you will.
That total there's around the old 5.
Yeah, it should be more than 500. Like I said, that first guy, it was $50 because he came to my house on a Sunday, and then he came back like on a Monday and a Tuesday, and I think I ended up giving him like $400 more. And
You know, I
then
remember asking you this because I didn't understand why that took that man 6 hours to do that.
well, it didn't take him 6 hours. I think he was trying to stay there to make sure that it was fixed right. And then he
Cause he-
finally ended up leaving. I mean, he was really nice,
Yeah.
but I mean, it was on a holiday weekend, so
He
of
stayed
course
there
he charged.
while our men were fixing this. He charged 6 hours. Her service is only like 20 foot long from the road to the
I mean,
house.
but your guys stayed out there a long time too. I mean, they got there at like
Well,
10 or
one of
11.
the problems they had, we tried in something to attach back to that old pipe was what we ended up, that's what took so long. We had to try to find something that would fit back to that pipe. That's what took them so long. I think they may have to run to some store to get something.
So this is $50 on one bill and $465 on the other, $515. That's far cry from $1,000. Where's the other?
That's what I'm saying. I guess he's missing one of those because one of them was on another receipt, and then on that first receipt, he just like wrote it on a piece of paper. So
Well, this was the only two that I remember taking a picture of that you let me look at that day.
no, there's another one. I'll have to find it. Because like I said, there was a $50 fee just for him to come out that day. It was on a Sunday.
So what are you asking us to do? Pay you back for these?
I mean, I guess so, because it took
I'm
like 3 different times before somebody would admit that it wasn't on me, it was on the city.
The day we repaired it, as I said, is the only day we were actually told that it was our fault, our problem. But they traced it back to that spot. That's the only time we were told.
So with the dates on other receipts? Those receipts have dates on them.
One was $11.15. The one in the yellow for $50, and this was the day we went out. The guy was here actually there telling us it was something wrong with it.
And
It was
that's
$11.27. That's the day we fixed it.
Do you think there's any way you could come up with the receipt with the other money you paid the first guy?
Yeah,
Other than-
I'll have to find it. Yeah, but I can come up with it.
Is that any
Like I
kind
said, I thought he had it, but I guess not.
Is there any kind of negligence on that first? I mean, they're obligated to say that he just did a lousy job by not notifying you, or where did that go wrong?
Well,
with the first
that
plumber, I guess?
the homeowner tells us this, they get
Okay.
somebody to evaluate it.
Well, and when the first guy came out, he called somebody because they came out and put like the little flags in the yard where they were like marking something.
We
that-
usually mark the service if we find it to where it's at.
I mean, 'cause
We're
there were
asked.
like flags in the backyard. I think they had them
Most
in the
guys
front.
that have to do digging, or they have to do call digs, so we come out and mark the utilities, or the gas company would, any of us have to do that.
I don't know who the plumbers were, I'm not familiar with them, but to me, whoever your first plumber wasn't much of a plumber and really didn't do what needed to be done, or you wouldn't have had to call a second guy to come in and take care of it again and tell us that it's on us.
Well,
If the
that's
first
what I
dude had
told
told
you,
them
that he
that.
said that if it wasn't fixed, that it was on the city and not on me. I think I said that.
Well, we get situations, you know, like when, Ray Russell's a good example, I guess, when you get roots and you clean them out, and when grease gets back on, they block back up again. You still have the problem, the roots are still there, but it takes a while for them to block back up to stop the line again. We don't know what it is unless somebody, if somebody says it stopped here 5 foot from the house, and it may be a root. That's kind of what we wait to hear from a plumber or from the homeowner. A guy come out, evaluate this, it goes to the road, and then we get involved, we dig it up and figure out what's going on with it. That's our normal process that's what we do.
But at the end of the day, it was our line.
At the end of the day, it ended up being us,
I think if that, second plumber, clearly we got notification. First plumber sounds like he was either a little negligent. If you can really get evidence that he notified us and we dropped the ball on that first one, I think we would be interested in hearing that.
I'll ask the guys if they can remember that. It's been a while, it's been 3 or 4 months ago. I'll ask them if they can remember a plumber calling on that. We'll do what we can to figure that out.
Okay.
I'll ask him and see.
So plumber number one, I just wanna make sure I'm straight. Plumber number one told you he thought he had it fixed, and if it
No, he
wasn't.
didn't say he thought he had it fixed. He said if the problem was not fixed, it was on the city and not on my end. That's what he said.
Do you know if they've done, what did they do, if I can ask that?
He went under the house and did something. I'm not really sure what he did because there was water running from underneath as well. And then he like dug up something, I think, in the back. I think they might have did something in the front, but he didn't dig as much in the front as the second plumber did.
Yeah, most plumbers have to kind of dig up the line, look at it, and enter that line somehow to see where.
And
If
the
there's something
pipes
blocking
that you're
it,
talking about,
That's what we wait to hear from a plumber,
yeah,
from a
I know he said
homeowner.
like some of that stuff under there was like old,
A lot of people in town got that same old,
yeah.
that orange pipe that we have to deal with too.
So what do we do?
I mean, the costs, I feel like the costs, the problem was ours. I think at the very least, that second plumber should be absorbed by us. It's our pipes that failed. The first plumber is wishy-washy. If we can get good evidence that he did notify us and we dropped the ball, we can look at that too. If I remember right, Mary Dell, the only way we can handle something like this is through credits on the bill. Is that accurate?
Well, you might wanna go through your insurance company and see if they deem it as a liability or not. That's what I normally used to do, and if somebody
When you
thinks
say
we're at
insurance
fault.
company, you say the water department's insurance
Yes,
company?
our insurance.
Just wanna clarify, you weren't asking hers.
No, not hers,
The
our,
line
Oh, okay.
insurance
No,
or.
No, the Tennessee.
Tennessee Risk Management. If they deem us negligible, then they will say it needs to be took care of. That's what I would do.
Well, my 2 cents are we need to make it right with her, cause it ain't her fault she had a halfway plumber the first time. You don't know what you're getting when you call somebody, and anymore everybody's so busy, you just look, you can get anybody come out at all. And if it was our line, it was our line. But I think we as a board at some point need to look at simplifying our processes, cause homeowners don't know. They don't know, they don't understand, there's no way for them to know. until something bad happens, and then they're left holding the bag. And they-
Yeah, I mean, 'cause like I said, that second time, I got home to a complete mess, like where that line was backed up, it was
So that's
horrible.
Thanksgiving
Did you
weekend?
have,
Mm-hmm, it was
Well,
you had
Thanksgiving
a
weekend,
plumber come out 3 different times?
2 times.
It's 2 bills.
You got, yeah, that's where I'm confused.
No, 2 different plumbers. The first one is the one that y'all don't have enough record of. The second one is the guy that you said that stayed there like 6 hours.
He
So
wrote
the
down
first
six-
one-
He's the one that like wrote down everything he did, like he was a whole lot more professional than the first one.
But
if
the
he-
first
if
one
he
charged
charged you,
$500?
if he charged you 6 hours watching my man fix it, I don't think that's fair either, you know.
I mean, like I said, he wasn't doing any work. He was just standing there. He wasn't charging for that. He was trying to make sure the problem was taken care of. He wasn't doing anything. I mean, he was just standing there trying to make sure that it was done, I guess, correctly. But then he ended up leaving. He wasn't there the whole time they were there.
But he charged 6 hours, that's what I don't.
But
know
he
what
got there early that morning. He was there at like 8 o'clock. And plus, it was a holiday weekend, so that could be why he charged me more. I mean, it was the day after Thanksgiving.
Well, our guys got there at 10.
Like I said, he was there before your guys. He
Yeah.
was there at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I know 8 at the earliest.
I think you need to be careful what you, set precedents for. That's why I should suggest you go through your insurance company. Let them evaluate it. That's my suggestion to y'all. That's what I've been told through my career. Is any kind of, if something happens at somebody's home, we need to get our insurance company involved in it. Just to protect you, to make sure it was a legitimate thing, you know.
Mhm.
That you don't set a precedence that the next person that comes in here, well, they'll expect you to just pay it. If-
I mean, I'm not asking for a
And we're not
handout. I'm
saying you're
just
wrong,
that
we're not
it
saying we're
wasn't
right or
my
wrong, we're
fault,
just
so I
doing the
feel like
protective thing for
Yeah.
y'all would be to go through your insurance company. That's my suggestion.
Let's run down that road then, whatever,
What
is
is,
that something you want to do in the office? I mean,
what is our normal policy if we have a line that's collapsed and it backs up in someone's home and we've got sewer all in someone's home? Insurance will kick in the event that we can't pay, but I don't know, do they set, I'm not sure that they set precedents on fault. I mean, they come in and see whose liability, and of course, it's gotta be our liability because our damage is what caused the problem, so. I just wanna.
Typically, a copay on that, they only kick in if it's over 1,000 or
Right,
5,000.
and we've got some kind of deductible.
Well, the flip side too is what kind of time frame you're looking at, cause, I mean, you got $1,000, I mean, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't wanna spend $1,000, then wonder if, when I'm ever gonna get it back.
Is it bad precedence that we're setting to, if we caused the problem, we fixed it? Is that bad precedence though?
Not for me.
I mean, I'm not being smart, I'm thinking the precedence might go the other way. I mean,
I understand where Tommy's coming from.
I do
mean,
too.
It's pretty clear cut, I mean, we're liable here. I think anything else we do, we're just dragging it out. I don't know about this insurance company, any one of it.
Well, you know, I'm an attorney, so they're gonna have to prove it to me beyond a reasonable time before I pay anything, so. So I'm more attuned to Tommy's right. I'm also concerned, do we even have anything in our policies that addresses this situation? Cause I've been
That's
doing a
what
search here and I don't find one. And that we are establishing precedent when we go forward, whatever we do here, we are establishing that now this is what we're doing going forward, because we can't treat somebody else in a similar situation differently. We have to treat them all the same.
I would like to think though, if this pops up again, we do the right thing again.
Yeah, whatever the next one's about.
Well, then that's on us to sit here and listen
And
to the
that's
story and make a
that's-
make a
that's
determination.
where our insurance comes in. Our insurance is for when we can't.
Our own utility said it was our line, that was the problem.
I mean, yeah, because not only did I have the problem outside, like I said, when I got home from work, nobody wants to come home to water like coming up out of the. It's like it was a complete mess. that I had to
When you
clean
get
up.
into negligence, it's not just, well, my thing caused it. Did you have notice that your thing was failing and then that caused the problem?
I had been dealing
We
with
would
the problem,
have been
like I
negligent
said.
if we knew the line was failing and we didn't do anything to fix it and we let it happen.
Well, like
If
I
we
said,
just
they
got
came
notice
out
and as soon
like,
as we got notice, we went out and fixed it.
We went out and fixed it today, we got nothing.
well, that first day you came out there, you just kinda got out of your truck, you
I
walked
never,
around.
no, I never came to the site, man.
Well, somebody came that first day, I thought it was you, and they just
No, it
kinda
wasn't
like
me.
walked around, oh no, the water's flowing, and
No, our general thing is when somebody makes a complaint, we go look in our manhole system, we flip our manholes up. Cause sometimes that's all we have to tell, and if the flow is going through there good, then we make the assumption that we're fine.
an
We have
assumption,
to,
right? an
we have to
assumption.
make that assumption, cause we have to go to the customer and say, you need to tell us. We need that evaluation from their plumber to say, is it at the road or is it
I mean, so
in
what
your
are people
yard,
supposed
you
to
know?
do that can't afford that? I mean, what if that would happen to somebody else that couldn't afford it to pay for two
Well,
different people to come
We
out?
aren't allowed to do any work on your property though, we couldn't evaluate that for you.
But like I said,
We
it
can't do
took
that.
two different people, and it's not like I'm making it up. You've got the receipts. I think you even talked to one of the guys. I mean, like I said, would you want to dealt with that on a holiday weekend coming in your house and you got like all kinds of mess coming up out of the toilet that you got to clean up?
Well, we
I have.
Well, it's not something that I want to do. Maybe you do, but I don't.
No, I'm not saying I want to, I'm just saying, yeah, I've had problems like that, I get it. I guess that's why I'm thinking we need to have the lady somehow. I don't know,
Can't go wrong with it, right?
Can you give us some time to look at it and talk to our insurance group and see how, I think we've clearly just come up on something we've not had to deal with before, how we need to respond to it, and hopefully you can appreciate if,
Yeah, that's
you know,
fine.
how
Like,
we deal
yeah,
with your
that's fine.
situation
And I'm not
could open
asking
a.
for somebody
you know.
just to give me something. I just
Sure.
wanted to bring it to your attention because it could happen to somebody else.
Sure, yeah,
And maybe it has happened and they just haven't came here and said anything.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
without that,
And I appreciate you coming and letting us know
Seriously.
and be aware of what's going on.
And I would also suggest maybe we look at putting in a policy to let the plumbers know that if you suspect it's on our side, this is what you need to do.
yeah.
Instead of saying, well, if it don't fix it, it's on their side. No, if they think it's on our side, they need to contact us and we maybe need to create a
Well, like
policy
I
for
said, I know
that.
that first guy. I'm not sure who he called, but I know he called somebody because they're the ones that came out and had all the little flags in the yard and were, I guess, marking off where the gas was and all. So he called somebody. I don't know who he called. Somebody came out and did all that.
One call,
That's the
is that,
one.
is that,
We all
Yeah,
have-
yeah.
that's
everybody-
pretty standard.
It's a standard, if you hire a contractor to come work at your house, and he's expecting to dig, he has to do that. It's
811.
required.
So I've got a question or two. The situation is completely unfortunate, and I hate that for you and your family for the holiday. But did you take any pictures of this? Because if this is going to go to the insurance company, they may require that we have.
I did have pictures. I just didn't think y'all would want to see
No,
them.
I'm not caring to. I don't. I
did
I
have
still haven't
pictures.
had lunch today, but I'm
okay.
good right now.
Yeah.
But I think if you'll hold on to those, because I
Okay.
think that's probably, or send us to Tommy's office, that's gonna be something they're probably gonna be looking into.
Okay.
And I think that'll also back up this case for that precedent in the event that someone does come to us in the future. I hope they don't go.
and we're gonna need all these receipts too. not
Yeah,
just
I think we need all the receipts. So if we can do a joint effort between you and the board, we'll research what we can legally do for you. And if the insurance will give us direction on how we can do it as well.
Okay,
So,
that's fine.
and if you'll gather that information, is that okay that I did that, sir? Okay, and I think you can tell our goal is to help you through this walk, as much as we possibly can. We just need to see what we can do.
Okay, that's fine.
We just don't want to put you out any more than you've already been.
That's true too.
Yeah, like I said, I just hope it doesn't happen again. I mean, because like
Oh, I
I said,
hope
it
not
was,
either.
yeah.
So,
Everything that happens again.
Thank you for your
All
comments.
right, thank
for
you.
bringing
I'm
that.
gonna get out of here. I'm gonna
We'll-
Thank you, Ms.
we'll-
Harper.
We'll be in touch.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Any other board member comments?
Who will run down the insurance stuff? Is that y'all can kind of
Okay.
open that, see what, and maybe we do need to look at getting somebody to write up some kind of policy about sewer backups, whatever, if you
I
want.
can't believe we don't have something in the policy?
We have it for outages, I mean, for breakage, for broken lines on her, on.
That's
So
Maybe
I
get,
think, yeah.
what's the fellow's name at TAUD, if he
Yeah.
scrolls, if he has anything about sewer
that-
backups, we can look at.
That's still something we kinda tasked with anyway, Mayor, ain't it, to work on other policies.
The other policies.
Well,
that-
Can we offer insurance like we do?
They
Do
do
they
have
have
insurance for it, we
So-
just don't offer it. Y'all wanna look at doing that, we can.
How many customers do we have? How big's the sewer?
About 1,023,
yeah.
something like that.
Be worth
Sewer,
looking at.
sewer backup's gonna be on the personal insurance, but I don't know, I mean, feel comfortable using your own personal insurance when it's not your problem. Yeah, that's gonna be the tough one on that one.
Well,
For me.
I think as far as what Tommy did, when they knew, somebody said, this is on y'all guys, we fixed it. You
That's what we
know,
did.
what she muddled around with, and before she told us that we needed to fix it, I don't see how we can be,
Yeah, if she didn't call us after that first guy was out, that's just, unfortunately, she hired a bad contract.
Trying to remember all this
We
months
can't help
ago.
that, yeah.
I think on the 27th we fixed it. On the 25th, I think Tony got called out to her house. And that was probably the day he was told that she was gonna get a plumber to come and look at it on the 25th. And that's when we learned on the 27th that it was actually an issue, that was ours. And we came out on that holiday, the day that everybody's off, and fixed it, so. I mean, we did what we could, or what we said we would do.
I'm not blaming you.
Oh, I'm fine, but it's just,
It's, that we have, if you're saying we have clay lines, that talks itself right there, so.
you know, it's just an old system, and it's got
Exactly.
problems, yeah.
And there's no clean out.
And there is no clean that y'all, and we're not installed, and every chance I get, we install one. Every chance we get, we try to put them in, and we're gonna try to start doing that, just take it street by street and start doing it. The camera we bought helps us to do that.
Find out where they are.
We find where they are, and we can mark them, and that's how, I don't know how we got into this, but, over here, somebody thought we was putting in meters and stuff over here on this street when we was just finding what was there and uncovering them. When somebody made the statement we were putting in meters on the street where we wasn't, but we were using that camera to find where a house was maybe about to be built. You know, we was just trying to do our homework, get that done, get that found, and put a clean out in, cause if, in that particular situation, that house had a basement at one time, cause that's all it is a big hole. If they want a bathroom in that basement, it ain't gonna happen, cause it ain't gonna make it up there without a pump. So that's what we was trying to tell the homeowner, this is what you have to do to get sewer service.
Yeah.
I mean, that camera's been a great tool for that. But that stuff takes time to get done.
Yeah.
And we're working on it as and that's something we can try to do in the future, and this is something I thought about today. We can try to, when somebody has a complaint, just go ahead and install that clean out and get that figured out quicker. Or the first or second complaint, or whichever we need to do, go ahead and install a clean out and see if we can find it. And make sure it's not. Clean out like a water meter on the water side, that's where our responsibility starts and stops. A clean out is where our responsibility usually starts and stops. When you don't have them, it's the edge of the road or the park, where the property comes to the county highway or whatever. That's usually the responsibility. That's what we've been going by, because we don't have them, technically. And the clean out would be right there where we put one anyway. So the place we actually dug down and fixed that, that's where a clean out would go anyway, right? That would be our responsibility right at the edge of the roadway.
So as we're looking at this policy, as soon as we get past, as soon as you're past the budget, I'd like to charge you or challenge you with giving us, and you just made the statement a minute about there's some other policies that might need to be looked at. So if you might, and not for us to do until like just in the next meeting within the next quarter,
Yeah.
if you in the office could start pulling a list of things that you're facing now with the changes, that policy might need to be increased while we're already looking at this other policy, and just dig into it in one setting.
Well, if y'all would like us to, and I did tell the mayor that we could get Mr. Scholes involved with us, with me and him and the fact, it's the same issue, ain't it, remember what we were gonna work on? Similar, we could add it
Well,
to that issue.
It can be added to it, cause what it is when we had the town of Hartsville, and it was a actual water department under the town of Hartsville, they had the ordinances set up, how it operated and all these things and all this stuff. When it broke off as a separate utility, it created its own policies. When they brought it back, but still let it create its own policies and actually passed another law
Oh, okay,
ordinance
so we don't
last
have
year.
to take that, yeah, so we don't have to.
So they passed another ordinance last year that, in my opinion, even though it didn't specifically state it, basically voided out Title 18 that was there left over from the town of Hartsville and replaced it with this new stuff that said the board creates all rules and regulations
We're
and
working
policies.
on
Okay.
that.
My suggestion is Title 18 from the old ordinances were much more in-depth than what these policies are, and that we need to go through those, bring over what is still good, get rid of what is old and obsolete, and then readopt those as the regulations and policies for regulations for the water utility. And that's where we're gonna work with Tommy and the county attorney and Mr. Scholes. So that could, what you're talking about and what they're saying need to be added, that to me is all part of one thing. If we're gonna say, we're gonna substitute this, basically do away with all our existing regulations and substitute it with this new thing that we've created, we need to go ahead and make sure we get in everything that needs to be there.
Right, and that's why I'm asking for this list, so he can.
Right, and I'm saying that will be part,
Go ahead.
what we were gonna do already could bring that in and be part of it too, so that just like we're doing our personnel policy right now, when we submit it, we're gonna submit it as void everything that was there before and substitute in this new thing. And that would, like I said, anything that needs to be added, we need to go ahead and do that while we're doing it.
Exactly.
So much of the old one spoke to Hartsville, so they've been operating, if it was in Hartsville, we do this, if it's out in the county, we do something different. And we're trying to make that congruous between the two as much as possible. So there's a lot of things like that, okay, kick me, should have been addressed that weren't, I'll just say it. And, so,
I'd like to address them before we're faced with them again with another
Yes,
Miss
I
Harper,
understand
another
what
Miss
they are.
Harper.
We need some rules in place to deal
Sure.
with these issues that never really come to light too much.
And that's not unique to the water department. I've talked to Mr. Muller and we're wanting,
we've
they
got a
never
lot
went
of
back
stuff.
and changed all these things when it met
Yeah,
Metropolitan.
no, I-
Okay,
So they're all still there. The first 3 chapters of our current ordinances tell you how the town of Hartsville operates, and it hasn't existed in 20 years.
Yeah, we'll compile all that.
that'd be great,
And
thank you.
it'll be, I guess, go towards all that we're working on.
Okay,
Since I have a meeting at 6:30 and the mayor has a meeting at 6:30, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
I wanna go to your 6:30 meeting.
Well, come on, let's go.
See you soon.
Oh,
Such a great day.
And y'all are welcome to come to the 6:30 meeting.
You know,
Since you have nothing else to do.
Is that on
Well, we got two mechanics
Audio
working right now, so we
Yeah.
might as well get you.
Down at the courthouse.
In between our
the
own
one that,
stuff.
Kane
Yeah, y'all have a
requested,
whole lot
the
more.
one that we were talking about the other night.
Nothing crazy.
Kane requested.
No, that's already.
They said yes,
Oh, it is.
it's chairman.
Man.